This is Module 6, Grade 7, Lesson 20 Exit Ticket. Only one problem. Okay, only one problem. Problem is many steps in this problem. Probably like almost 15 steps in this problem. Okay, so you got to go into it with a clear mind. Okay, not get frustrated. Just think. Okay. A homeowner called in a painter to paint bedroom walls and a ceiling, basically to paint an entire room. Okay? The bedroom is 18 feet long. That's important. 18 feet long, 12 feet wide, and 8 feet high. The room has 2 doors. 2 doors, that's important. Each door is 3 feet by 7 feet. And 3 windows. 3 windows. Each window is 3 feet by 5 feet. The doors and the windows do not have to be painted. They do not get painted. A gallon of paint, this is an important sentence, a gallon of paint can cover 300 square feet of space, of area. A hired painter claims he will need 4 gallons. So he says he's going to need 4 gallons in order to do this room. We need to show that the estimate is too high. Okay? That's our goal here. Show that the estimate is too high. Must not need 4 gallons. He's going to need less. So you know that we're going to have to figure out how many gallons does he actually need and how much less than 4 is it. Okay? So I drew this little diagram here, and I'm not the best artist, but I color-coded it to try and help you visualize, okay, the room. There's 2 walls, or there's 4 walls. 2 walls have the same length, and 2 other walls have the same length, but they don't have the same length. So, we see that the bedroom is 18 feet long. So 2 of the walls are 18 feet long. Okay? And we know that all of the walls are, in the problem, it says all the walls are 8 feet high. Okay? So these would be 8 feet here and 8 feet here. Okay? So we have one set of walls, 2 walls that are the same measurements like this. Okay? But the walls that are wide aren't 18 feet, they're 12 feet. Okay? So the 2 other walls are 12 feet long and 12 feet long. Okay? But still, the room is the same height, so the height doesn't change. That's still 8 feet. 8 feet. Okay? So we have 2 walls, 2 walls. Okay? We're going to find the area of all of these walls. Okay? Then we also need to find the area of the ceiling. This orange here is the ceiling. Okay? If the room is 18 feet by 12 feet, those are the dimensions of the ceiling, because the ceiling runs the length and the width of the room. Okay? So the ceiling is 18 feet by 12 feet. Okay? The height of the room, the 8 feet, doesn't matter for the ceiling. Okay? The ceiling, the dimensions of the ceiling depend on how long each wall is. Okay? So now we're going to find the area of all of this. This is all the area that's going to be painted. There's one problem. There's 3 windows and 2 doors. The windows and the doors do not need to be painted. That's what it says in the problem. It says the doors and windows do not have to be painted. So we're going to have to subtract the area of the windows and doors off of these walls. Okay? So I drew the 3 windows. Okay? And it says each window, 3 windows, each 3 feet by 5 feet. 3 by 5 feet and feet. 3 feet, 5 feet. 3 feet, 5 feet. Okay? So each window is 3 foot by 5 foot. Okay? Those do not need to be painted, so we need to find that area and subtract that off of the total area that we find. Also needs to be subtracted off is the doors. Okay, the doors do not need to be painted. in the problem, it tells us that there's 2 doors, and each door is 3 feet by 7 feet. 3 feet by 7 feet. 7 feet, 3 feet. Okay? So we'll find the area of those doors and also subtract that. So we need to total up this area, subtract this area, because these are things, windows and doors, that do not need to be painted. Okay? All that's left will be what needs to be painted. What needs to be painted, then we can figure out how many gallons of paint the painter's going to need to cover the areas that are not taken up by the windows or the doors. Okay? So step 1, we're going to find the area of these 2, we'll call them the green walls. Okay? The green walls. Alright? I'm going to do this right back on my page here. Okay? So I'm going to say area 2 large walls. Okay, these are the large walls because these walls are 18 feet long while these ones are only 12 feet long. Okay. So in order to find area, it's length times width. But I actually have 2 walls that are the exact same size, so I can just multiply my answer here by my answer, or by 2. Okay, if I find my answer here, I just multiply it by 2. I get these areas put together. So I'm going to write it like this. I'm going to say I'm going to multiply 2 times length times width. The length is 18. Multiply that by the height, or the width, which is, oh, not 6, sorry, 8. Okay, and you can see where I got that from. 18 times 8. Okay, that'll give us the area of this. If we multiply it by 2, it'll signify 2 walls. Okay, we'll get an answer for that. Then we're going to do the area of the 2 small walls. Okay, and that is, once again, there's 2 walls, so we're going to multiply our answer by 2 to figure out the area of both of them. Those aren't 18 by 8, those are 12 by 8. So 12 times 8, and we'll get an answer there. So we'll have the area of all the walls. We also need to add in the ceiling. The ceiling needs to be painted. Okay, so I'm going to write the area of the ceiling. Okay, and in order to find that, there's only one ceiling, so I only need to do this once. 18 feet times my 12 feet. Okay, 18 times 12 will give me the area of the ceiling. Once I have those 3 areas, I can add them up, okay? And that's the total area of the room. But I need to subtract off, remember, I need to subtract off the windows and the 2 doors, okay? So let's find the area of the windows, okay? Area of windows. How many windows do I have? Well, if we look back in the problem, it says there are 3 windows. So my 3 goes on the outside of my parentheses. On the inside is the length times width. Length times width. 3 times 5. Okay. Now I need to find my area of doors. Okay. How many doors are there? Well, the problem says there are 2 doors. So 2 goes on the outside of my parentheses inside. 2 doors, each 3 feet by 7 feet. 3 times 7 equals. Okay? So now I'll find the total area of the room, and I need to subtract off the area of the windows and the area of the doors. So I can add these 2 answers together, subtract it from my answer up here, what I get when I add these 3 together. Okay? So when you plug this into the calculator, remember PEMDAS. Okay? The P here stands for parentheses. So in these problems, you need to do 18 times 8 first, get an answer, then multiply it by 2. You'll get your answer. All of these are area, so your label is going to be feet squared. Okay? Remember, the square goes on the label. The square goes on the label. Okay? So each of these you're going to find feet squared. feet squared. Feet squared. Feet squared. Okay? Once I find this, I'm going to total them up, and once I find these, I'm going to total them up, and I'm going to subtract the two. Okay? So, if you do this into your calculator, you should be able to do this. 18 times 8, here's what I would type in. 18 times 8 equals 144. I multiply my answer times 2, and I get 288. Okay? Next one, 12 times 8 comes first. Clear. 12 times 8. Get my answer. I multiply that by 2, and I get 192 square feet. Okay? The ceiling, 18 times 12 gives me 216. Okay? Now for my area of my windows, I do the multiplication inside the parentheses first. 3 times 5 I know is 15 times 3 equals 45. Inside the parentheses first, 3 times 7 equals 21 times 2 gives me 42. Okay? So now I need to find my total area of the room, and I need to find my total area that I'm going to subtract off, the windows and the doors that do not need to be painted. Okay? So if I add 288 plus 192 plus 216, I get 696. 696. Okay? I need to subtract off the total area that I'm subtracting off, the windows and the doors. So I need to add those two together. 45 plus 42 equals 87. Okay? So now I'll do 696 minus 87 gives me 609 feet squared. This is the amount, the area that we need to cover with paint. Okay? We're not done. Not even close. Okay? Because it doesn't ask us what is the area that's painted. It says show that the estimate is too high. There's this other part of the problem. A gallon of paint can cover 300 feet. Okay? A hired painter claims he will need 4 gallons. So I need to take my total area. I need to cover 609 square feet of wall and ceiling in order to paint the room. So I take my 609, okay, and I'm going to divide that by how much each gallon can paint. Each gallon can paint 300. So I'm going to divide by 300. This will give me, this answer, 609 divided by 300, will give me the number of gallons of paint that I will need in order to paint this room, or that a painter would need. Remember, he claims he's going to need 4 gallons, okay? And it says show that the estimate is too high, so I'm predicting that when I do this division, it's going to be less than 4 gallons. Let's see. I have my 609 still on my calculator. Divide that by 300, and I get 2.03. 2.03. This is the number of gallons of paint that I will need to cover my room. Okay? So I'm going to need 2 full gallons and then 0.03 of another gallon. So I'll need a little more than 2 gallons of paint. Nowhere near my 4 gallons that it says up here that he estimated. So we can say the painter will only need a little bit. The painter will only need a little bit more than 2 gallons of paint. And I have shown that the estimate is too high. He only needs a little bit more than 2. That's way under the 4 that he says up here. Okay? Gallons of paint are expensive if you've never painted a room. Okay? Especially good paint. Okay? And there's your homework.